Welcome back, everyone, to a story that's both captivating and deeply tragic. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss out on incredible stories from Hollywood's golden past, the bright lights and the shadows behind them. Today, we're diving deep into the life of a young star who captured hearts, but whose light burned out far too soon. Anissa Jones, the beloved Buffy Davis from Family Affair. Her rise to stardom seemed like a fairy tale, but as we're about to see, the story behind the smile was far darker than anyone could have imagined. Anissa Jones, the symbol of innocence, childhood joy, and a doll named Mrs. Beasley. For millions of television viewers in the 1960s, she was Buffy, a sweet, loving child whose infectious laugh made everyone fall in love with her. But her reality off-screen was a far cry from the happiness she portrayed. Anissa's journey from the golden light of stardom to the somber shadows of tragedy is one of Hollywood's most haunting stories. So what happened to the sweet little girl who graced our television screens? Let's find out. It all started in 1966, when a bright-eyed 6-year-old girl walked into an audition in Los Angeles, a moment that would change her life forever. Anissa Jones wasn't just any child actress. She became the iconic Buffy Davis on the hit sitcom Family Affair. The show, which would go on to become a cornerstone of American television, was groundbreaking in its depiction of an unconventional family dynamic. Anissa, along with her co-stars, became part of a household name instantly recognizable to millions of Americans. The character of Buffy, with her lovable nature and her cherished doll Mrs. Beasley, made Anissa an overnight sensation. It wasn't just her acting that captivated audiences, it was her charm, her innocence, and the way she brought the character to life with a genuine warmth that felt so real. For many, she wasn't just Buffy, she was the child everyone wished they could protect, the one they trusted to be always kind and happy. But even from the very start, the dark side of stardom loomed large. Behind the scenes, the production schedule of Family Affair was anything but ordinary. Anissa wasn't the only one affected by this. The entire cast had to work under grueling conditions that left little room for a child to experience a normal life. The show's unusual shooting schedule was arranged around the availability of Brian Keith, the adult lead, meaning that the child actors, including Anissa, were thrust into long, often exhausting workdays. As any child star knows, the combination of schoolwork, shooting, press tours, and constant public appearances is not only physically draining but emotionally and mentally taxing. Still, Anissa rose to the occasion with grace and professionalism. As a child, she was already a master at what she did. Interviews from that time show glimpses of her sparkling personality, but there was something deeper hiding beneath the surface. At times, Anissa's responses hinted at a confusion about who she really was. When asked about playing Buffy, she said, "I like playing Buffy, but I also like being myself. Sometimes people forget that I'm not Buffy all the time." This was more than just a casual comment, it was a child's plea for recognition of their true identity, beyond the character that had become inescapably intertwined with their life. The pressures of fame were already beginning to take hold of her, and as her popularity grew, so did the sense of being trapped by the role that made her famous. Her image as Buffy was cemented, and with that came a loss of privacy and control over her own life. As Family Affair became a national sensation, Anissa's face was everywhere, but while millions of viewers were charmed by her performances, her off-screen life was far more complicated. Fame wasn't as kind to Anissa as it had seemed at first. Her parents' divorce, which occurred when Anissa was still young, added another layer of instability. While her father John initially gained custody of her, his untimely death shortly afterward left Anissa in an even more vulnerable position. Grief, instability, and the pressures of stardom all collided in a perfect storm that would shape her adolescence in ways no one could have predicted. Despite her fame, Anissa never had the stable family environment that many child stars rely on to stay grounded. After her father's death, Anissa didn't return to live with her mother. Instead, she moved in with friends, further distancing herself from the nurturing structure she needed during such a critical period of her life. Her mother, Paula, had always been involved in managing Anissa's career, but it was clear that the emotional support Anissa needed from her wasn't present. Paula's focus seemed more on the financial success Anissa's acting career provided than on her emotional well-being. The dynamic was fraught with tension, and as Anissa grew older, this lack of familial support became even more pronounced. As a teenager, Anissa desperately tried to carve out a normal life. She did what any young girl would do. She went to school, tried to make friends, and dreamed of a future beyond Hollywood. But the shadow of her stardom followed her wherever she went. Anissa's classmates recognized her, and she was forever seen as Buffy, the adorable little girl with the doll. It was a role she couldn't escape, and the constant reminder of her past made it impossible to move forward. She began to struggle with the idea of her identity. Who was Anissa Jones beyond the character of Buffy? Who was she as a young woman, free from the constraints of fame? She longed for a sense of authenticity that seemed so far out of reach. She once remarked, "People call me Buffy all the time, and it's nice at first, but then it feels like I'm stuck in a role I didn't choose." Her attempts at normalcy became even more challenging as the years went on. The public still saw her as the sweet little girl from Family Affair, and this perception prevented her from being taken seriously as an actress. Auditions for new roles became harder to land, as she was still typecast as the child star. When she did get opportunities, the roles were often not what she was looking for. For instance, when she auditioned for the role of Regan in The Exorcist, it was ultimately given to Linda Blair. Casting agents feared audiences would only see Buffy in a horror film, a missed opportunity that was indicative of the larger challenge she faced. It wasn't that Anissa lacked the talent to take on more complex roles, it was the perception of her that was standing in the way. By 1975, another opportunity arose, this time for a role in Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese's iconic film. Anissa was invited to audition for the part of Iris, a complex and troubled character, but once again, she turned down the opportunity. She was done. She didn't want to be trapped in Hollywood anymore. She wanted to live a normal life, away from the cameras and the relentless scrutiny. Her decision to step away from acting marked a turning point in her life. It was as if she was trying to free herself from the golden cage of childhood stardom. She enrolled in Westchester High School in Los Angeles, eager to experience a life without the weight of fame hanging over her. But as is often the case for child stars, adjusting to life outside the spotlight wasn't easy. She was constantly reminded of who she once was. The hallways of high school, filled with unfamiliar faces, became another reminder that she was different. No matter how much she longed for normalcy, she couldn't shake the image of Buffy Davis. The struggles Anissa faced only became more pronounced as she entered her late teens. Without the structure of a career to ground her, and with no solid family support, Anissa began to slip further into instability. Her mood swings, restlessness, and erratic behavior became more noticeable, and she began to experiment with substances. It was clear that she was searching for something, an escape from the pain, the pressure, and the confusion of her life. Friends and acquaintances reported seeing a side of Anissa that was unrecognizable from the cheerful, carefree child star they had once admired. But no one stepped in to help her. Hollywood had used her talent, profited from her image, and then discarded her without any real support. The industry had a history of this, using child stars, exploiting their innocence, and then abandoning them when the cameras stopped rolling. There were no counselors, no long-term plans, and no safety nets in place to protect young stars like Anissa. She was left to fend for herself in a world that wasn't kind to someone so young and vulnerable. Anissa's life spiraled further downward. She became involved in petty crimes, including shoplifting, as a way to cope with the emotions she didn't know how to process. She took on odd jobs, but her inability to hold on to any sense of stability was evident. Friends who knew her during this time described a young woman who seemed lost, someone who was searching for a way out, but couldn't find it. In the early hours of the 28th of August, 1976, Anissa Jones' troubled journey came to a tragic end. She was just 18 years old. Anissa had attended a party in Oceanside, California, where she was with friends, including her boyfriend. As was all too common in her life, the gathering was filled with drugs and escape from reality that ultimately led to her death. A lethal mix of substances took her life that night, and the world lost a young woman who had so much potential. Her death sparked conversations about the plight of child stars, the systems that fail to protect them, and the devastating consequences of fame without care. Anissa Jones's tragic passing served as a stark reminder that the price of fame can often be too high. As we reflect on Anissa's life, her story serves as both a cautionary tale and a call for change in how the entertainment industry supports its young stars. If you found Anissa Jones's story moving, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts on what could have been done differently. Let's keep this conversation going, because stories like Anissa's need to be remembered. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.